Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to a new session. So, we are back with a new session for NET. NET exam is around the corner, right? Just after a few days, NET will be held. So, it's high time that we revise very thoroughly for this exam. So that those of you who are aiming for the GRF this time, so that you can get it very easily. All right. So, I hope all of you are ready for another session and some more revision. Right? Okay. So, good evening and welcome. Hi, hi, hi. Yes, good evening. Yes, I'm fine. And I hope all of you are doing great as well. So, without further ado, let's get started with the session tonight. If you are new to our channel, please do subscribe. And if you're watching this video right now, then please do like it. Okay? And the screen is visible clearly? Yes. So welcome to session number 20 of our Vallath NET revision. Ready? Yes. Please like the session. And now let's get started. Okay? So let's move on to the first question for tonight. Sir John Suckling was an English poet, prominent among those renowned for careless gaiety and wit, the accomplishments of a cavalier poet. So Sir John Suckling, the cavalier poet, was born in which year? Such questions are coming, and please expect such questions in NET very easily. They will ask years of birth as well of writers, so you can see such questions in the paper, right? So Sir John Suckling, the cavalier poet, was born in which year? The cavalier poets were the court poets of King Charles the First. King Charles the First. John Suckling was one of them. They were inspired by Ben Jonson, and hence they were also known as the Sons of Ben, the sons or tribe of Ben. Sir John Suckling was born in 1609. Sir John Suckling was born in 1609. Okay? Sir John Suckling was born in 1609. Chronology is very, very important for the NET exam. They will not only ask you the publication years of works, they will also ask you the birth years of the major authors. Not only major, but any author for that matter. Right? So, yes, John Suckling was born in 1609. Next. The Tree of Man is the fourth published novel by the Australian novelist and 1973 Nobel Prize winner Patrick White. This title, The Tree of Man, has been borrowed from which work? The Tree of Man, it's a novel by the Australian writer and Nobel Prize winner Patrick White. So this title of the novel, The Tree of Man, this title has been borrowed from which work? This title has been borrowed from which work? The Tree of Man by Patrick White. This title has been taken from which work? The Tree of Man. Yes, this title has been borrowed from A.E. Houseman's poetry cycle, A Shropshire Lad. A.E. Houseman's poetry cycle, A Shropshire Lad. Okay, this title, The Tree of Man, has been taken from A.E. Houseman's poetry cycle, A Shropshire Lad. Okay, right? Okay. Next. Italo Galvino Italo Calvino, John Fowles, Gunther Grass. What is common among these writers? All were born in the same year. All of them died in the same year. All of them practiced magic realism. All of them wrote books which were made into films. Italo Calvino, John Fowles, and Gunther Grass. What is common among these writers? All of them practiced magic realism. All of them practiced magic realism. These questions are, this question type is very common, not only in NET, but in GATE exam as well. These types of questions are very common these days. They will give you the names of some works and will ask you what is common among these works. Or they will give you the names of some authors and will ask you what is common among these authors. All right, so this pattern is very common these days. So here, all of these writers practiced magic realism. Okay, right. Next. Doris Lessing was a British writer who was born in Persia and spent her childhood in southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, before settling in England. Is this true about Doris Lessing? Is this true about Doris Lessing? Was she a British writer who was born in Persia? She spent her childhood in Zimbabwe before settling in England. Yes, it is absolutely true. It is absolutely true. Can you tell me another famous writer from Zimbabwe? Another famous writer from Zimbabwe. It is Sitsidangaramga. Sitsidangaramga, who wrote the work Nervous Conditions. Nervous Conditions. Okay? Right. So before we proceed, let me give you all a reminder that we have already started our KVS, NVS, TGT and PGT course. So if you want to be a teacher, if you're preparing for this exam, if you want to get this job this time, you can join our course. The course is going on right now. There are numbers on the screen where you can contact us if you have further queries about this course of KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next question. And I hope all of you have liked the session by now. The Man Died is a 1972 non-fiction. It's a prison memoir by Dash. This work explores the author's experiences in prison during the Nigerian Civil War. So the man died. The man died. It's a prison memoir by whom? It's a prison memoir by whom? And remember, this work actually talks about the author's experiences in prison during the Nigerian Civil War. Nigerian Civil War. The Man Died. It's a prison memoir of which writer? Who was in prison during the Nigerian Civil War? Nigerian Civil War. The Man Died. It's a prison memoir by Wole Soyinka. It's a prison memoir by Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka. The Man Died. It's a prison memoir by Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka. It talks about his experiences in the prison during the Nigerian Civil War. Nigerian Civil War. Okay? Right. Formalism began in Russia in the early 20th century through two groups: the Moscow Linguistic Circle, founded in 1915, and Opoyaz, or the Society for the Study of Poetic Language, founded in 1916. Is it true that formalism began in Russia in the early 20th century through two groups: the Moscow Linguistic Circle, founded in 1915, and Opoyaz, or the Society for the Study of Poetic Language, founded in 1916? Are all the facts here true? Is it true? The statement given here, is it true? Yes, it is absolutely true. Formalism, indeed, it began from Russia. It started from the early 20th century through two groups: Moscow Linguistic Circle 1915 and then Opoyaz 1916. Clear? Right. A Religio Laici, or a layman's faith, is a poem in heroic couplets by Dash. It was written in a response to the publication of an English translation of the History Critique du Vieux Testament by the French cleric father Richard Simon. Who wrote this work, Religio Laici, or a layman's faith? It's in heroic couplets. Who wrote this work? Yes, it is by Dryden. Dryden. Dryden was the most powerful writer during the Restoration period. Dryden was the most powerful writer during the Restoration period. Okay? A Religio Laici, or a layman's faith. It was written in a response to the publication of an English translation of the History Critique du Vieux Testament by the French cleric father Richard Simon. Okay? Because they can also ask you these things only, na? I mean, they can also ask you these things, that who was Dryden replying to through his work, Religio Laici. Right? Okay. Next. Phyllis by Dash is a 1593 sonnet sequence that uses pastoral and classical allusions to praise the beauty of a woman called Phyllis, whom he addresses as a perfect and unyielding beloved. This collection of sonnets is considered a prime example of the love sonnet tradition. So Phyllis is a sonnet sequence by whom? Phyllis. It's a sonnet sequence by the university wit Thomas Lodge. Phyllis is a sonnet sequence by the university wit Thomas Lodge. It's a sonnet sequence that uses pastoral and classical allusions, means references, to praise the beauty of a woman called Phyllis. We know that Thomas Lodge was one of the university wits. Phyllis. Phyllis. It's a sonnet sequence by Thomas Lodge. It's a sonnet sequence by Thomas Lodge. Right? Okay. The Complaint, or Night Thoughts on Life, Death, and Immortality, better known simply as Night Thoughts, is a long poem by Dash, published in 9 parts between 1742 and 45. It's a poem from the Graveyard School of Poetry of the 18th century. It's a poem from the Graveyard School of Poetry from the late 18th century. The Complaint, or Night Thoughts on Life, Death, and Immortality. It's a graveyard poem, School of Graveyard Poetry. Night Thoughts. It is by Edward Young. Edward Young. Okay. The Complain or Night Thoughts on Life, Death, and Immortality. The Complain or Night Thoughts on Life, Death, and Immortality. Okay. From the Graveyard School of Poetry of 18th century. Right? Yes. Wayne C. Booth's most recognized work, The Rhetoric of Fiction, argues that all narrative is a form of rhetoric. Is it true? Tell me. Yes, tell me. Let me check the YouTube comments, what you all are saying. Wayne C. Booth's The Rhetoric of Fiction, published in 1961. 1961 is a very important year. Many works were published in this year. Many works were published in this year, 1961. Yes, Wayne C. Booth. He belonged to the Chicago School of Criticism. Wayne C. Booth belonged to the Chicago School of Criticism. He wrote The Rhetoric of Fiction, 1961. In 1961, many other works were published, like The Wretched of the Earth by Franz Fanon, The Long Revolution by Raymond Williams, The Man-Eater of Malgudi by R.K. Narayan, Sunlight on a Broken Column by Atiya Hussain, The Theatre of the Absurd by Martin Esslin, The Rhetoric of Fiction by Wayne C. Booth. All these works were published in 1961. 1961. Okay? Right. Outside in the Teaching Machine. It's a very, very important work. Outside in the Teaching Machine. It's a collection of essays by Gayatri Spivak that argues for a responsible, culturally aware approach to reading and teaching, particularly for those from marginalized post-colonial backgrounds. This title, Outside in the Teaching Machine, reflects Spivak's paradoxical position as a post-colonial critique working within the Western academy, simultaneously outside the dominant structure and inside it as a teacher, because she is not a white woman. She is a colored woman as well. So she is simultaneously outside the dominant structure because she is a brown person. She's a brown woman. She is not a white person, right? So she is simultaneously outside the dominant structure and also inside it as a teacher of the Western Academy. This book deconstructs power structures by bringing the outside, the voices of the subaltern, the marginalized, and the culturally different to bear on established academic inside knowledge. Outside in the Teaching Machine by Gayatri Spivak. This work was published in which year? Outside in the Teaching Machine by Gayatri Spivak. This was published in 1993. 1993, the same year as the publication of Edward Said's Culture and Imperialism. Edward Said's Culture and Imperialism was also published in the same year as Gayatri Spivak's Outside in the Teaching Machine, 1993. Okay, it's a very, very important work, right? Okay. In Johnson's Lives of English Poets, which author is not included? Thomas Gray, Swift, Dryden, Cowper. Tell me. It's a work of biographical criticism by Samuel Johnson. Which author is not there? Which author is not there in Johnson's Lives of English Poets? It's a work of biographical criticism published in 1781. Published in 1781. This work does not include whom? It does not include William Cowper. It does not include William Cowper. William Cowper. Okay? It does not include William Cowper. The Artist of Disappearance is a collection of novellas by Anita Desai. It was published in which year? Chronology is very important. Chronology is very important, the years. They will ask you lots of years. Lots and lots of years. The Artist of Disappearance. It's a collection of novellas by Anita Desai. It was published in 2011. 2011. The Artist of Disappearance by Anita Desai was published in 2011. 2011. Najib Mahfouz, an Egyptian writer, received the Nobel Prize in Literature in which year? Najib Mahfouz, an Egyptian writer, received the Nobel Prize in Literature in which year? Najib Mahfouz got the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1988. 1988. Okay? Najib Mahfouz, an Egyptian writer, got the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1988. 1988. A graphic novel that reimagines Delhi in the 1970s. Imagine waking up one morning to learn that all your rights as a citizen are suspended this moment onwards. Which graphic novel is this? Which talks about this condition of Delhi in the 1970s? 1970s. It's a graphic novel that reimagines Delhi in the 1970s. It is Delhi Calm by Vishwajyoti Ghosh. Delhi Calm by Vishwajyoti Ghosh. Delhi Calm by Vishwajyoti Ghosh. It's a graphic novel. It's a graphic novel. Graphic novels will be extremely important. Okay? Right. So that's all from our side for tonight. I hope you guys loved the questions and enjoyed this discussion and answering these questions. And before I leave you all, let me give you a reminder that our KVS, NVS, TGT, BGT course is going on right now. If you want, you can join us. And it's the weekend already. So do have a lovely weekend and keep preparing for NET. Stay healthy. And as usual, I will see you again on Monday, exactly at 9 p.m. at our Vallath YouTube channel. So please like this video and don't forget to join me again on Monday at 9 p.m. Okay? Till then, bye, take care, keep studying. Okay?